What is going on with all those bricks? More about that later. Welcome to another Linleys Garden Railway video. Hi, I'm Warren Brand, and in this update I'll include 2 stages in the platform construction at Linleys Station on the Linleys Garden Railway. Taking the plunge, I've decided to start the construction work to form the platforms. They will be cast in concrete in shapes formed with plywood shuttering. First off, the clearing the area of general bits and track work is needed. I seem to lay sections of track and then remove them again, all too often. Oh well, needs must. Strips of plywood will form the front edge of the platform faces, and the extra thinner strips of MDF to shape the undercut of the platform edge profile. This approach worked really well when I created the platform for Woodgate Crescent Station a couple of years ago. I need 4 long strips of plywood and 4 long strips of MDF, but I don't have boards long enough, so the long lengths will have to be made up of shorter pieces overlapping so they stay together. Ideally, I'd use a table circular saw to cut the strips, but I don't have one, or a bandsaw. My handheld circular saw needs a new blade, so I'm cutting them out using a jigsaw. Adequate at best, but it will get the job done without me breaking out into a sweat or wasting time. The upper edge of the MDF, which forms the undercut of the platform edge, needs a bevel so that the strip of wood can be easily removed once the concrete is set. The platform ends have sloped ramps, and to help shape these, I'm cutting the ends of the ply strip accordingly. The next job is to fix the strips together. I'm using short panel pins for this. There's something very satisfying with banging in nails. To hold the strips in place and straight, I'm going to add softwood battens. These are easily screwed onto the plywood strips. The ends of some of the platforms need to be curved a little to follow the slight curve in the track work. Checking the overall alignment of the platform edges, I next need to make sure they remain in their correct positions during the pouring of concrete. The two middle ones I'll fix together to maintain their spacing, but they still need holding down in place. Looking at it all now, it's hard to work out which bit of wood does what, but I've followed my plan, so with some luck, it'll all work out okay. Now here comes the piles of bricks. I have a spare collection of bricks, and instead of screwing down the timber formwork to hold it in place down to the concrete lower track bed, I thought I'd use piles of bricks to hold the woodwork in place. Many bricks later, I've ended up with tall piles. I've checked all the dimensions of the formwork as I went along just to make sure, and double-checked them all again just now. After about half an hour of fiddling about with the stacks of bricks, I've just realised that they may well get in the way a little bit while I do the concreting. It may have been better to have just temporarily screwed down the woodwork to the track bed, but it's all ready now, so I won't change it. What do you think? Next is the concrete. Once again, I'll mix a series of small loads of concrete by hand. There's no point hoiking out my electric mixer just for a few bucket loads that I need. Starting in the centre area, I simply need to trowel in the concrete and tamp it down as best I can. The fewer air bubbles there are, the smoother the side surface will be. Also, I've kept the mix quite dry. There'll be less shrinkage as well as virtually no slumpage that way, but I can still smooth off the top surface okay. Is slumpage even a word? Even though I have to work around the stacks of bricks, I can get my arm in and work along easily enough. The sequence of concreting needs to add sections incrementally so I can build up the top surfaces as I want them. In the last video I explained how the platforms diverge vertically as they extend away from the station building end up to where the inner lines go over the tunnel. So to build these platforms I need to add an additional wooden formwork once the lower layer has set. I'm not going to finish the platform end ramps this time. Moving on to the next day, I've added the extra vertical strips of the woodwork to form the back of the inner platforms as they extend up the slope. It's hard to see here, but once the stacks of bricks and the woodwork are cleared, it will become obvious what the plan is. I've run out of time today. With the late summer days, the evenings come earlier. This weekend the weather stayed fine, but the forecast is for rain in a few days' time, so I've covered up the works. Right, I'm back to it this weekend. Clearing back the polythene and the stacks of bricks, I want to carefully prise away the plywood shuttering. Most of the formwork has loosened just fine, but a couple of bits have broken the platform overhang. That's easily fixed later on. I just need to cut away a small section and repoint up with the formwork back in place. The flat section where the footbridge steps will come down is not flush and finished. I'll use my grinder and flatten off the surface a little bit. I need to complete the full length of the inner platforms too. I didn't have enough concrete mix last weekend before the light faded. To make up some sort of view of the station platforms in use, I've laid down some track and added some trains. I think it all looks rather good. Not finished yet of course, but getting there. More next weekend, as long as the rain keeps away. Thanks for watching and bye for now.